What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, Ben Ballion, back with another episode of the Sports Pod. And today, it's part 7 of the 82-part series where I will be recapping every single Knicks game from this NBA season. And a couple days ago, they faced off with the Los Angeles Clippers, a team that just added James Harden, an MVP of the league, former MVP of the league, and a person that might be valuable for them. They have Kawhi Leonard, who can pass the ball. They have Russell Westbrook, who can pass the ball. They have Paul George, who needs to score. And now they have James Harden, who needs to score. But the Clippers are a really good team on paper. Who knows what it's going to be when they actually play on the court against good NBA teams like the Knicks, and when they have their top guys firing on all cylinders. And the Knicks, they did have Randall back. Not back, but he played really well in this one. Had a game high 27 points. And even now, Jalen Brunson didn't score in this one. So this isn't even an offense that is playing to their full potential in a game where they win by 14 points. And that's scary because the Clippers are a good team. They have Russell Westbrook, league MVP. They have James Harden, former league MVP. They have Paul George. I think he won an MVP also. They have Kawhi Leonard, Finals MVP, two-time Finals MVP. They have Paul George, a not an MVP, but still a really good player. And when he was in his heyday with the Pacers and the Thunder, he was one of the best players in the league, no questions asked. But in this one, the Knicks were the better team, and they showed it. They don't have all-stars on this team. Brunson's never been an all-star. Randall's never been an all-star. Barrett's never been Barrett's never been an all-star. Randall's never been an all-star. Brunson's never been an MVP. Randall's never been an MVP. Barrett's never been an MVP. So they're coming into this game with a chip on their shoulder. These guys are some of the best. They've been the best in the NBA individually in their own seasons, and I think that has to make them a really good team overall. Their starting five is Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and Zubac. Like, if you ask me, I'm going to take that roster over most NBA teams. But they didn't show it the other night. Westbrook and Harden each had 17, Kawhi had 18, and Paul George had 10. Knicks locked them up. Knicks played better. Knicks are better. And the Knicks bench is better. Norman Powell had 14 off the bench for the Clips. And besides him, nobody really did anything. Let's see, they had 16, 18, 27 bench points compared to the Knicks, who had 29, 35 bench points. And the bench played really well in this one. Dante DiVincenzo late down the stretch, causing havoc on the defensive end of the floor, getting the Knicks out in transition, getting it to Josh Hart, getting it to RJ Barrett. That's what we brought him here to do. Play defense, shoot the ball, get the team out in transition, play your game, bring a lot of energy. Dante DiVincenzo showed up. RJ Barrett showed up again. Big win for the Knicks. And this is what I'm talking about. If we can have this and Brunson scoring closer to 20 points a game, maybe even 18 or 19 with Randall and Barrett scoring 27 and 26, I'll take that any day of the week. I would gladly take that. That would be beautiful. And especially when the defense is playing so well. Another team that they held to under 100 points. So far they've held the Hawks to under 100 points. They've held the Clippers to under 100 points. They've held the Pelicans to under 100 points. Actually, they did not hold the Hawks under 100 points. So in their 7 games, they've had five games actually, where their opponent has not scored above 100 points. Really good defense. Shout out to Mitchell Robinson. Shout out to Quentin Grimes. These guys are doing what they need to do. And when Robinson isn't playing against a big who's incredibly athletic, can move, can dribble, he's all NBA defense caliber player. Tonight playing against Wemby, that might be a little bit of an issue. But I think Wemby's an alien. He's going to get his points. But as long as we can limit him, I don't think Mitchell Robinson is going to be able to completely take him out of the game, because he's over 7 feet tall, can dribble as good as anybody can in the league, can shoot as well as anybody in the league, and it just seems like an unstoppable combination to me. Like, nobody is going to lock him up, especially Robinson, who does not have the lateral quickness to keep up with somebody who has as good as feet as Wemby and can move as well as he can. I just want to talk about what Wemby said today about the Garden. Before, this is the last thing. I'll talk about it later as I preview their matchup. That's going to kick off in about 5 or 6 minutes here. But this game, it was won by the Knicks bench. I talked about them the other day. I talked about how their bench is they have a really good bench, and it's a bench that's going to extend leads. That was in the game against their first win against the Cavs. And I talked about how they bring energy, they could shoot the ball, they could do this, they could do that. But then they played bad against Milwaukee, and I ripped them. I'm giving them all the praise in this one. They played outstanding. They did everything we needed them to. It was, and especially down the stretch, last 5 minutes of the game, Dante DiVincenzo and Josh Hart were in there. I already mentioned what Dante was doing, and that was all in the final stretch of this game when it mattered most, when they had to score points. When they needed a bucket, Dante would do something. He would either shoot it, he would get the ball to someone who would shoot it. He was taking over. He carried this team down the stretch. And then on the defensive end, he had to have had a couple steals. Only one steal, but I feel like he caused other steals. The Knicks bench had 5 steals in this one. And DiVincenzo was a big part of all of them. Every last one. And this is the Dante DiVincenzo I wanted to see. I was not as impressed as I was hoping to be over the first 6 games of the season. In the 7th game, he broke out and he showed me why we signed him and why we gave him a deal. Because I was starting to question Leon Rose's move in bringing in Dante a little bit. Not that much, but just a little bit, because we got off to a little bit of a slower start than we were hoping for. The offense wasn't clicking and all these things. But after this one, I'm pretty confident in the guys again. Who knows? They could go out and ruin my confidence tonight against the Spurs if they play terrible. But I don't think that's going to happen. Outside of Wemby, the Spurs have no talent. They have no guards. Looking for Brunson to have a big game here. But it's going to have to be shooting the ball from the outside. Because if you go in, there's going to be a 7'5" giant waiting under the basket for you in Victor Wembanyama. And I don't think any player wants to see Wemby under the rim. Maybe Ja Morant when he comes back. I have a feeling he's going to try to pull a crazy dunk on Wemby. But other than that, I don't think anybody is looking forward to facing Wemby in a one-on-one under the rim matchup. But this is where I look to quickly, and I look to DiVincenzo, guys who I know can let the ball fly from deep. And I try to see what are they going to do tonight? Are they going to shoot the lights out? Are they going to have big games on the defensive end? Josh Hart is involved with that. Quentin Grimes. What is going to happen from those guys tonight? Because the Spurs their bigs are pretty solid. But I don't know about the rest of their team. But just saying a couple more things about the win against the Clippers. RJ Barrett, Broadway Barrett, Bad Man Barrett, whatever you want to call him, makes his return in this one as they come back to the Garden for a 3-game homestand. He makes his return. He gets his 5,000th career point in this one on a vicious slam in transition. And he played really well again. Had a plus 13 plus minus, 26 points. Only one foul. And from deep, he's 2 for 4. I will take that from RJ. He is taking a step this year. He is going to be the second option on this team in the next 2 to 3 years, in my opinion. He just signed that deal. He was underwhelming last year, but he's come out this year, and he's broken out. He's been playing awesome. I am very pleased with the way that RJ has played to this point in the season. All right, now getting into more of a preview for the game against the Spurs that is going to tip off very soon. The Spurs coming into this game with a record of 3-4, so it's going to be a pretty even matchup with the Knicks. And I'm looking for the Knicks to come out and get a W here. Another W. Get back to 500, reset. You got Charlotte coming in on Friday, part of the in-season tournament. Get a win in that, get back to 500 in that, and then really start to get rolling and get a bunch of W's and put them all together and get back to where you know you can after starting out the first 7 games in a little bit of a slump. The Knicks are capable of it. I know they are. There has not been a game yet when Brunson and Randall have both been on the same page. Brunson, Randall, and Barrett. And even Randall and Brunson. They haven't had a performance where both of them are scoring a lot of points. Both of them are dishing the ball out. Both of them are doing what they did last year and carrying this team to the 5th seed in the East and knocking off Cleveland. These guys, they are able to do it. The Spurs, they need to beat the Spurs. They're not that good of a team. Outside of Wemby, who's on that team? Tyus Jones, Devin Vassell. All respect to them, these are not the top guys in the league. These are guys that the Knicks are better than. RJ Barrett's going to come out. He's going to give it everything he has on both ends of the floor. Quentin Grimes is going to come out. He's going to try to shoot the lights out tonight. Same with Brunson. And I think Randall's going to take more threes than he does. And I don't mind it tonight. The Spurs have no perimeter defense to stop it. The Knicks should be letting it fly tonight. And that's just the fact. This is a game where you gotta play more in the modern NBA and shoot more threes. But when you're playing games against the Celtics, where they have a really good perimeter defense, then you got to get the ball inside. Then you got to get it into Robinson. Then you got to get it into Randall. But right now, when there's no perimeter defense, why not shoot the ball? Shoot 33s tonight. Why not do that? I think the Knicks come out with a dub here, and they show the Spurs that they're not that good. All right, that's going to do it for this episode. I'm your host, Ben Ballion, and that's going to do it for the Sports Pod.